My name is Brooke Yamakoshi, and I'm a WASH specialist with UNICEF's East Asia and Pacific Regional Office based in Bangkok. And it's a pleasure to be here with everybody on the second day of the Virtual Sanitation Expo. So this is day 2 of a 3-day event, and we're really pleased today to have virtual field visits to take everybody to the field and give you that touch and feel of what many people may be missing during the past 18 months of this pandemic. Yesterday on day 1, it was great to hear from the co-convening agencies or collaborating agencies on this event, the Thai Chamber of Commerce, the Asian Institute of Technology, SCG, and UNICEF during the opening session yesterday, and also to have a keynote on sanitation in East Asia and Pacific region and how we can engage the private sector to achieve our goal of safely managed sanitation for all, so SDG target 6.2. So as we start today, first of all, I'd like to go over a couple of housekeeping reminders. So on the next slide, you'll see a couple of things that we'd like to remind you all of now. So first is, as you come in and get settled in the room, it would really help if you can identify yourself by your name and your organization. So you can do this in 2 ways. One is by changing your name in Zoom. So going over to the little blue button next to your name in the participant list and putting the organization there. You can also write your name and your organization and the country where you're joining from in the chat box. A reminder to please mute your microphone and turn off your video if you're not presenting, but we will have a lot of time today to interact with everybody in the virtual field visits. So during the field visits, feel free to be unmuting your microphone and asking questions and interacting with the presenters during that part of the agenda. You can also use the chat function to ask your questions and leave comments. And if you're having technical issues, please put it in the chat and somebody from our team will contact you privately. Lastly, I'd like to remind you that this meeting is being recorded. So you should have had a consent button when it popped up, and it will give you the option to leave the meeting if you're not comfortable with the recording. So on the next slide, I'd like to remind you all that we're very pleased, thanks to our interpreter, Kun Pina, we're very pleased to have interpretation between Thai and English. So I'll ask you to go down to the bottom of your screen and please change the language that you'd like to listen in. I would also like to remind everybody that in our 4 groups today, only 1 group will have that interpretation, and I'll talk about that on the next slide. So on the next slide, again, this is day 2 of a 3-day event. You can see that yesterday we started with a great opening session and keynote, as well as a great virtual exposition where we heard from 4 different companies or organizations about the innovative products and technologies that they're developing and how they're being used in the field. And we're going to continue that today with our 4 virtual field visits. So when you registered for this event, you would have been asked which group you would like to join. There's 4 groups: SCG, DOS, which you heard from yesterday, as well as the Asian Institute of Technology and Nonthaburi Municipality. So very soon we'll move into those 4 groups, and your host in the room will lead you through a 2-hour field visit. After that, we'll come back together to hear reflections and share learnings based on what all of you shared in your groups. So please stick around so that you can get the flavor of what was shared in the other groups and learn across groups, not only from the one that you were in. And we'll have some summary points and reflections to close the day. Day 3 is tomorrow. It's a very exciting day, so we hope to see you all joining us, where we'll hear more from other countries throughout the region and indeed the world. So we'll start with a panel on innovations and technologies from around the region and the world. We'll move on to a panel discussion about addressing inequalities, and finally close with reflections from around the region. On the next slide, here we're moving into the main part of the day after this quick introduction. So I can see we have almost a stable number of people here. So this seems like a good time to be moving into some of these visits. So if we move ahead just 1 slide, we're going to open the breakout groups. What this means is that you will have been pre-assigned to a virtual field visit today. In the main room, which means you're not joining a breakout group, we will have the group for Nonthaburi Municipality. And as I mentioned, this group will be available in both Thai and English. So the main presentation will be in Thai, and there will be simultaneous interpretation into English. The 3 other groups will be in English only, although we may have some Thai speakers that can help to translate some of the question and answer if need be, but this is for people that are listening in English. So those other 3 groups are SCG, DOS, and the Asian Institute of Technology. So some of you have been pre-assigned to a group, and others may have registered today or yesterday, and you may need to choose your group. So in a moment, when we open the breakout rooms, you'll see that there is a little button at the bottom of your screen that says choose breakout or breakout group. You can simply click at the bottom of your screen and choose the group that you would like to join. And when you get there, you'll have a host who will introduce him or herself and talk about the program for the day. So with that, I'll ask my colleague Maud to open the breakout groups, and we will move into your pre-assigned group, or we'll guide you through the process of choosing your own group. So let's do that now. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. So I see that we have everybody back in the main room now. We hope that you all had a fantastic time in your virtual field visits. So I hope everybody had a great time, learned a lot, and felt like, at least virtually, you were getting out of your homes or out of your offices. So now we're going to move into the last session, which is the summary and some feedback, so that as we were all able to only join one of the virtual field visits, so that we can hear what happened in the other virtual field visits. And after that, we will do a summary of the day, and we'll look forward to tomorrow with some concluding remarks and letting you know what you can look forward to when you come back and join us for tomorrow's final day. So with that, I'd like to ask maybe my colleague Kim, if he could put up the slide that just shows the order that we'll be going in for the summary today as we summarize. And we're going to start with a summary from our colleagues at Nonthaburi Municipality. And I believe that it's Kun Pempong who will be feeding back. And I would like to remind everybody that we do have simultaneous interpretation during this session. So I believe that Kun Pempong will be speaking in Thai. And so I would like to ask all the English speakers to go to the bottom of your screen and choose English now so that you can be sure to hear the summary. So for each of the presenters and the people that's feeding back today, I will give you 10 minutes. You can use less than that, of course, but if you go over, I will appear on the screen like this. And just give you a little visual signal of 1 minute left. Thank you, and over to Kun Pempong and Nonthaburi Municipality for the summary of the field visit.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Bruce. I present in Thai version. Okay.
Yes.
ก็สำหรับการประชุมในห้องของเทศบาลนครนนทบุรีซึ่งได้นำเสนอเกี่ยวกับการจัดการสิ่งปฏิกูลของเทศบาลนครนนทบุรีนั้นนะครับเราก็ได้นำเสนอเกี่ยวกับความเป็นมาของโครงการการจัดการสิ่งปฏิกูลนะครับโดยชีวภาพตามแนวทางพระราชดำรินอกจากนี้แล้วนะครับก็ได้นำเสนอถึงผลประโยชน์ที่เกิดขึ้นนะครับก็คือเป็นประโยชน์ที่เกิดจากการดำเนินโครงการนะครับซึ่งการจัดการสิ่งปฏิกูลของเทศบาลนครนนทบุรีนั้นนะครับเราใช้ในส่วนของระบบหมักแบบไร้อากาศนะครับก็คือใช้ระบบธรรมชาติบำบัดธรรมชาตินะครับโดยใช้เวลาในการหมักสิ่งปฏิกูลเนี่ย28 วันนะครับโดยความสามารถของเทศบาลนครนนทบุรีนั้นเราสามารถที่จะบำบัดสิ่งปฏิกูลได้วันหนึ่งประมาณ40 ลูกบาศก์เมตรนะครับต่อวันนอกจากนี้แล้วนะครับเราก็สามารถที่จะผลิตปุ๋ยอินทรีย์ได้นะครับประมาณ5 ตันต่อเดือนนะครับซึ่งก็ปุ๋ยอินทรีย์นี้เป็นผลพลอยได้นะครับจากการผลิตของระบบบำบัดสิ่งปฏิกูลนะครับสำหรับประเด็นคำถามหรือว่าข้อคอมเมนต์จากห้องของสัมมนานะครับห้องสัมมนาก็ได้ มีประเด็นคำถามเกี่ยวกับในเรื่องของการบริหารจัดการสิ่งปฏิกูลของเทศบาลนั้นว่าได้ดำเนินการโดยหน่วยงานของรัฐหรือว่ามีเอกชนเข้ามาร่วมดำเนินการด้วยนะครับในส่วนนี้นะครับทางเทศบาลนครนนทบุรีนั้นนะครับเราใช้งบประมาณของเทศบาลนครนนทบุรีเองเนี่ยในการจัดการสิ่งปฏิกูลนะครับเริ่มตั้งแต่ในเรื่องของการเก็บขนนะครับการขนส่งแล้วก็การกำจัดคือเราดูแลทั้งหมดนะครับโดยมีความร่วมมือกับทางกรมอนามัยกระทรวงสาธารณสุขนะครับที่กรมอนามัยกระทรวงสาธารณสุขนั้นถือว่าเป็นต้นแบบในเรื่องของระบบบำบัดสิ่งปฏิกูลนะครับซึ่งทางเทศบาลนครนนทบุรีเนี่ยได้มีการประสานงานแล้วก็นำเอาแบบแปลนของกรมอนามัยที่ได้ออกแบบไว้นะครับมาประยุกต์ใช้ขอบกับเทศบาลนครนนทบุรีนะครับอันนี้คือความร่วมมือที่เกิดขึ้นนะครับประเด็นที่2ที่ทางห้องประชุมนะครับได้ให้ความสนใจก็คือในเรื่องของปุ๋ยที่เกิดขึ้นนะครับว่าเรานั้นมีการสร้างความมั่นใจอย่างไรให้กับผู้บริโภคนะครับว่าที่จะนำปุ๋ยอินทรีย์ไปใช้นะครับเพราะว่าปุ๋ยที่ใช้นั้นนะครับเป็นปุ๋ยที่เกิดจากสิ่งปฏิกูลนะครับเราไม่สามารถที่จะยืนยันได้ว่ามันมีความปลอดภัยได้หรือไม่นะครับซึ่งทางเทศบาลนครนนทบุรีเองเนี่ยเรามีการตรวจปุ๋ยนะครับทุกปีนะครับปีละ1 ครั้งนะครับแล้วโดยการสุ่มตัวอย่างตรวจนะครับเพื่อที่จะหาเชื้อทั้งอีโคไลนะครับแล้วก็ทั้งเชื้อซาโมเนลลาชิเกล่าอะไรต่างๆที่เป็นอันตรายต่อสิ่งมีชีวิตนะครับนอกจากนี้ก็ยังตรวจหาไข่พยาธินะครับเพื่อความปลอดภัยสำหรับผู้ใช้นะครับก็พบว่าปุ๋ยที่เราส่งไปตรวจตัวอย่างที่เราส่งไปตรวจทุกปีนั้นไม่มีเชื้อโรคนะครับปนเปื้อนนะครับเราเพียงพบแต่เพียงซากเป็นซากไข่ของหนอนพยาธินะครับอันนี้ก็ได้ทำการทดลองแล้วก็ไม่มีการเจริญเติบโตขึ้นมาอีกนะครับประเด็นที่ทางห้องสัมมนานะครับได้คุยแลกเปลี่ยนกันก็คือในส่วนของการสร้างความมั่นใจอย่างไรนะครับที่จะทำให้เกษตรกรนั้นเห็นถึงความสำคัญนะครับในการใช้ปุ๋ยอินทรีย์นะครับแทนปุ๋ยเคมีนะครับเพราะว่าอาจจะต้องใช้ปริมาณมากนะครับในส่วนนี้เองเนี่ยทางเทศบาลนครนนทบุรีเนี่ยเราได้มีการเชิญชวนเกษตรกรที่สนใจนะครับให้นำปุ๋ยอินทรีย์ของเทศบาลนครนนทบุรีเนี่ยไปทดลองใช้ก่อนนะครับเป็นเวลา3 เดือนนะครับก็คือใช้ไปก่อน3 เดือนนะครับแล้วหลังจากนั้นก็ค่อยมาประชุมหารือกันว่าเราจะกำหนดราคาของปุ๋ยเนี่ยเท่าไหร่นะครับซึ่งเกษตรกรที่นำไปใช้ทุกคนนั้นก็มีความเห็นตรงกันนะครับว่าเบื้องต้นนั้นก็กำหนดอยู่ที่ 1,500 บาทนะครับหรือว่าประมาณ30 US ดอลลาร์นะครับหลังจากนั้นเราก็ปรับตัวอยู่ที่ประมาณ10 US ดอลลาร์นะครับแล้วก็ปรับราคาขึ้นมาอีกนะครับเป็น 3,000 บาทนะครับต่อตันนะครับหรือว่า90 US ดอลลาร์นะครับตรงนี้ก็ทำให้เกษตรกรนั้นก็ยอมรับนะครับแล้วก็ใช้ปุ๋ยอินทรีย์ของเทศบาลนครนนทบุรีนั้นต่อมานะครับคำถามจากทางผู้ที่เข้าร่วมในกลุ่มสัมมนานะครับว่าทำอย่างไรที่จะทำให้ทางเทศบาลนครนนทบุรีนะครับได้มีส่วนที่จะทำให้เกิดการจัดการสิ่งปฏิกูลอย่างยั่งยืนนะครับทางกระผมเองนั้นก็ได้นำเสนอในเรื่องของงบประมาณนะครับว่าเทศบาลนครนนทบุรีนะครับเรามีงบประมาณเพียงพอที่จะสนับสนุนงบประมาณในส่วนของการดำเนินการในส่วนนี้ถึงแม้ว่าการดำเนินการที่เราดำเนินการเก็บค่าบำบัดสิ่งปฏิกูลจากประชาชนมันไม่คุ้มค่านะครับหรือว่าไม่เพียงพอกับรายจ่ายที่เราจ่ายไปนะครับแต่สิ่งสำคัญก็คือเราได้เล็งเห็นถึงผลประโยชน์ที่เกิดขึ้นนะครับกับสุขภาพอนามัยของพี่น้องประชาชนนะครับแล้วก็ สภาพแวดล้อมนะครับที่ไม่ก่อให้เกิดเป็นปัญหาเรื่องร้องเรียนมลพิษต่างๆนะครับตรงนี้เราให้ความสำคัญกับเรื่องนี้เป็นอันดับแรกๆนะครับเพราะฉะนั้นทางเทศบาลนครนนทบุรีเองนั้นจึงให้การสนับสนุนในเรื่องงบประมาณในการดำเนินการจัดการสิ่งปฏิกูลในส่วนนี้นะครับสำหรับการบริหารจัดการของระบบบำบัดสิ่งปฏิกูลนั้นนะครับเราก็ใช้เจ้าหน้าที่นะครับซึ่งมีความรู้ความสามารถของเทศบาลนครนนทบุรีเองเนี่ยนะครับไปควบคุมกำกับดูแลนะครับในการที่เราจะบริหารจัดการเรื่องของการกำจัดสิ่งปฏิกูลนะครับเพราะว่าในส่วนนี้เองเนี่ยที่เราทำดำเนินการได้เนี่ยก็มีกฎหมายรองรับอยู่นะครับกฎหมายแผนและขั้นตอนการกระจายอำนาจให้แก่องค์กรปกครองส่วนท้องถิ่นนั้นได้กระจายอำนาจนะครับหรือว่ามอบอำนาจตรงนี้ให้กับหน่วยงานส่วนท้องถิ่นนะครับเป็นผู้ดำเนินการในเรื่องของการจัดการสิ่งปฏิกูลและมูลฝอยนะครับซึ่งพระราชบัญญัติการสาธารณสุขปี 2535 นะครับก็ได้กำหนดในเรื่องของอำนาจหน้าที่นะครับในเรื่องของการจัดการสิ่งปฏิกูลและน้ำเสียนะครับแล้วก็เรื่องของขยะมูลฝอยนะครับให้เป็นหน้าที่ขององค์กรปกครองส่วนท้องถิ่นนั้นๆนะครับแล้วก็ถ้าหากว่าเอกชนที่สนใจที่จะมาทำในเรื่องของการจัดการน้ำเสียการจัดการมูลฝอยก็สามารถดำเนินการได้แต่ต้องอยู่ภายใต้การควบคุมกำกับดูแลขององค์กรปกครองส่วนท้องถิ่นนะครับในส่วนนี้เองนะเราก็มีการออกเป็นเทศบัญญัตินะครับของเทศบาลนครนนทบุรีในเรื่องของการเก็บค่ากำจัดนะครับแล้วก็ในเรื่องของการออกใบอนุญาตนะครับให้กับเอกชนที่จะมารับประกอบการนะครับในเขตของเทศบาลนครนนทบุรีนะครับซึ่งโดยสรุปแล้วนะครับก็การจัดการมูลฝอยของเทศบาลนครนนทบุรีหรือว่าการจัดการสิ่งปฏิกูลตามโครงการแนวทางพระดำรินั้นนะครับเป็นโครงการที่สามารถเป็นต้นแบบให้กับหน่วยงานต่างๆนะครับไม่ว่าจะเป็นทั้งหน่วยงานของภาครัฐภาคเอกชนนะครับที่มาศึกษาดูงานหรือจะเป็นหน่วยวิจัยครับที่เข้ามาทำการศึกษาวิจัยนะครับได้ใช้ประโยชน์จากสถานที่ตรงนี้นะครับเราก็ยินดีที่จะเปิดให้กับทุกหน่วยงานนะครับที่จะเข้ามาศึกษาดูงานหรือว่ามาศึกษาเรียนรู้รูปแบบของการจัดการสิ่งปฏิกูลที่เรียกว่าระบบการหมักแบบไร้อากาศนะครับที่เป็นระบบแบบง่ายๆซึ่งเราก็จะสามารถช่วยทำให้การจัดการสิ่งปฏิกูลนั้นถูกสุขลักษณะนะครับและตามเป้าหมายของการพัฒนาที่ยั่งยืนนะครับตามที่เรากำหนดเอาไว้นะครับก็ต้องกล่าวโดยสรุปนะครับเพียงเท่านี้ครับขอบคุณครับ
Thank you very much, Kun Prempong. I think we're great. Thank you so much. I think we're at you were perfectly at the 10-minute mark to the second. So thank you very much. That's great. And I really do hope that we'll be able to take you up on your offer to come and visit your site and meet you and meet all of your colleagues at some point when the situation allows. So thanks for that great summary of the technical aspects. You know, a lot of themes that I heard across all of the field visits. Also talking about the work with user groups that you did with farmers, talking about user behavior and how it affects, you know, not only the operation of your system, but also the production of fertilizer and the sale of that, and for the way that regulation is maybe devolved to the local level to allow your municipality to provide these services. So thank you very much for that. Next, we're going to move to a summary from AIT. And so for that, I will turn it over to Suraj. For Suraj, maybe just a reminder that now the interpretation will be on the Thai channel for colleagues that are listening in Thai. So please do try to moderate your presentation to give Kun Pina, our interpreter, enough time to interpret. For everybody else, as we're speaking, I forgot to mention, please do write your key learning in the chat box, and so that we can also have a little bit of chat of the things that stood out to you during the virtual field visit. So Suraj, over to you.
Yeah, can I share my screen?
Of course.
Yeah.
And again, I'll start a timer now for 10 minutes and I'll appear when you have 1 minute left.
Okay. Oh, sorry, I won't be able to share the thing. I think there is some technical issue. I don't know.
Okay, maybe you're not a co-host. Maybe you
Yeah,
can go ahead and
maybe.
get started and we'll see if we can give you the permission.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, hello everyone. My name is Suraj Pradhan, and I'm working in an Asian. I'm a resource associate working in Asian Institute of Technology for 5 years now. So, as far as our presentation on AIT, it was divided into two themes. One theme was focusing towards the Asian Institute of Technology, the institute itself, and another part was focusing more on the flagship innovation that we developed. So going to the like basic information about what AIT is. AIT is an international institute. So we have like students from 30 plus countries, and we have like a 200 plus partners working with us. And it's a postgraduate program, and it's an English-based program. We have three schools, mainly like a school of environmental resource and development, school of energy and technology, and school of management. So at beginning, AIT actually started as a water engineering, which was mostly focused towards the toilet. But after the Millennium Development Goal, it started focusing over the overall sanitation, focusing mainly towards the decentralized wastewater. So the area of specialization in AIT, especially under the environmental engineering and management program, are environmental technology and management and water and wastewater engineering. So, and under this program, we are actually trying to develop some spin-off program working with different institute as well, depending on the global sanitation needs. So recently we launched a new master program known as the Regenerative Sanitation, partnered with IHC Delft and other universities. So AIT, here we not only want to develop technology, but rather, provide a situational study and assessment so that, like, student can provide positive influence to the policymakers and public health as well. Uh, that being said, like, also I want to stress that the Professor Tamarat, our professor in our main professor in environmental engineering and management program, he emphasized that technology should not be like too advanced, especially in the context of Southeast Asia. So we need to rather focus towards the regional needs. So that was one of the vital points that he pointed out during this session. So going to the flagship innovations, actually AIT since 2011, AIT has been working with Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, BMGF Foundation, in the development of new technology for toilets. So among these technology, we actually talked about, we are further working with SCG on this matter as well. So furthermore, we also talked about AIT's laboratory also. So AIT has a AIT testing center, which actually provides performance and protocol of parameters of different systems. It actually tests performance, and it provides protocol of parameters of different systems. And we also provide full range of physical, chemical, microbiological parameters in water and wastewater, solid waste, and also air pollutants, etc. And also we have our NATS lab, which is actually ISO 17025 certified, which actually focuses on sampling, analysis, and providing accurate results for the clients. And lastly, we also talked about our development of Fecal Sludge Management Toolbox. Actually, working with Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, we were able to develop a Fecal Sludge Management Toolbox. Actually, this is a step-by-step, it's actually a one-stop online database system, which provide like a step-by-step guide for FSM practitioners, mainly donors, city planners, and consultants. So what you can find in this online platform is various documents, TORs, reports, building codes, etc., and also tools developed by AIT and other different organizations such as situational assessment tools, financial and technological assessment tool, stakeholder analysis tool, sheet flow diagram, SFD. So that's what we discussed during our session. And if you need any information, I will share my email as well as Professor and Hendra's email in the chat, so that when you go through the video, once UNICEF releases all the informations and details, you can go through the video and let us know if you need any comprehensive information. So yeah, thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Suraj, and thank you to the whole team that was presenting from AIT. Really great to hear about your field visit. And again, you're perfectly on time there at 10 minutes. So thank you, Suraj, for keeping to time. Great to hear both more about AIT institutionally and some of the programs that you have in partnerships with other universities, such as UNESCO IHE, as well as that summary of some of the different technologies and innovations that AIT developed and how you went through this process of transferring some of the technologies for commercialization to companies. Also great to hear about the FSM Toolbox. I'm sure many of you are already familiar with that and have come across it in different places. So good to hear that you were also had time to present that. And I'm sure people will be interested in going back and listening to the recording. So thank you very much. For the third summary, we're going to turn it over to Nick at SCG for his summary. And again, Nick, I will put the timer on now and hand it over to you. Thanks.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining today's session. So summary for the day is that we started with an introduction about SCG, specifically about SCG chemicals and kind of the work we do in developing new polymers, the innovations we do and new techniques in developing plastics and other materials. And then we concentrated on health, sanitation, and well-being. We introduced by our emerging business director, who talked about SCG's work in the areas of health and sanitation, how we trying to develop new ideas and new business models that help towards the SDGs for improving water quality and other things. So we talked about that, and then we introduced two kind of innovative product lines. So we have our VaraGuard, and then we have our Zyklonic sanitation wear. So VaraGuard is a new business that started this year. It's a direct response to the COVID-19 situation. So it is a business that's all about personal health protection and sanitation. So we were introduced to the innovative new face mask. So this is, stand masks are good, but this is a better performing mask. So it has a specific type of chemical or coating on the mask that helps is like an antibacterial, antiviral coating that works better. It is effectively removes the viruses or kills the viruses, attached to the viruses, and it's a long-lasting protection. So a mask can last up to 24 hours. And then we talked about the hand sanitizer. So there's also a hand sanitizer under the Varigard brand. This is an alcohol-free sanitizer. What's great about this product, so it doesn't, if it's alcohol-free, it doesn't dry your hand out, doesn't dry your skin out. It's halal. It helps nourish the skin. And again, it's a better performing sanitizer than other products out on the market at the moment. So it's very fast, effective protection, and again, offers a long lasting protection for up to 24 hours. So one spray, you can get 24 hours of protection against a broad range of viruses and bacteria, not just COVID-19. And all these products have been developed in conjunction with local hospitals within Thailand and university partners. So everything has been lab tested and certified. So yeah, we started with Varigard. So this is all about the current health sanitation problem with COVID-19 and the different kinds of masks and chemicals that we are developing to help combat COVID-19. And then we moved on to Zyklonic by SEG. So this is our sanitation products and our sanitation business. So all about treating toilet waste and turning it into reusable byproducts. So kind of followed on from yesterday's technological kind of presentation. So today we kind of really took that virtual tour, that virtual journey through various different demonstration sites that we have designed and built and implemented here in Thailand and also in South Africa. So we took a little virtual plane trip to South Africa. So I went through the different sites, talked about how we deal with the different layout designs, shared some performance data, talked about how we have also developed and innovated our products and evolved them over time with the experience that we have gained from doing these demonstration sites in Thailand. So, you know, we started out with the Zyklone Cube and the aquanic tank. And then as we have learned more, we've improved the technology and kind of changed our attitude and our direction of developing our technologies from going kind of the fixed design on-site compact unit to the kind of more modular design that can suit a broader range of different kinds of scenarios. So in our kind of virtual site tour, I showed a wide variety of different sites and showed the very different setups for treating solid and also treating liquid. Yeah, so we had lots of questions about, you know, why is SEG involved in such projects? And, you know, it's kind of really about applying our knowledge in chemicals and materials or building and packaging, everything really, applying that knowledge to new business ideas. So again, it's creating new business opportunities, meeting new partners, and combining knowledges together to create new systems and solutions. And kind of obviously, you know, SEG recognizes the world is changing, attitudes are changing, and we are trying to develop new businesses for those different, for the new world and the future, to make the world a better place and for the new challenges. And then, yeah, we talked about, obviously, we have shown demonstration sites here in Thailand, and we have measured their performance against local standards. And then, you know, as we look wider into the global market and we enter places such as South Africa, India, Southeast Asia, other countries within Southeast Asia, you know, how we will adapt our technology to fit those standards and changes in those different regions and different countries. So, you know, that's part of our development and part of how we try and make our technology as adaptable and kind of user-centric as possible. I think that's it really. Brooke.
Great. Thank you so much, Nick, for that great summary. And I think, it was great to join this group. I joined this group and to learn about both VeriGuard as well as Iconic. And I think we really appreciated what Nick said at the beginning, the kind of virtual tour and taking us virtually to the field. So that was really great to get a feel for all those different sites. And similar to our colleagues at Nonthaburi Municipality, I'm sure many of us who are here in Thailand were thinking that we'll look forward to visiting some of those sites and using some of those toilets here in Thailand. Some other things that stood out to me from the presentation were about, as you said, the way that you've adapted and iterated your design based on user feedback as well as based on the site conditions. So really great to see, quite interesting. Thank you for sharing that. And maybe for our final summary, I will turn it over to Kun Tanawat from DOS to give us a summary of what you discussed in your virtual field visit. So thanks very much, and over to you, Kun Tanawat.
Hey, thank you, Bruce, and good afternoon again, everyone. I'd like to summarize what DOS have presented today, and what we do is actually we summarize all the product line that we do in terms of mainly the water and wastewater treatment. We start from the water treatment plant from large scale to small scale, that we use our special cooperation technology for potable water treatment system with Korean company named Sense, and we call it a DOS PCF system. That we have some reference in Thailand from large scale size to small and medium scale size in many areas in Thailand for potable water production. And it's very effective process and reduce operation costs. And we also show the potable water tank, the clear water tank, many models that we produce within our factories from small size to large size. Then after we talking about the potable water treatment plant, then we go to the wastewater treatment plant, which we start from like the small scale, like the on-site wastewater treatment compact system that normally is installed in every house. And also we can expand is in the large scale with some different shape, kinds of like a capsule shape, or probably some other kinds of shape that make it bigger and larger capacity to treat the wastewater from small village to or some kinds of high-rise buildings or some industrial factory to the city scale. And then we've already showed them how we can install those kinds of on-site treatment system, and also from the small size and also to the large scale size, how we install them and show some reference. So I think everyone can see that. And there's some question that we already answered, like the cost of installation or something like that. Also, we provide what we actually can do as like DOS is the OEM that we are ready to provide a special service for as an OEMs to any customer who interested in producing something that is different from our standard products. We also do the cooperation development with many customers. For example, we show the solar farm, SCG solar farm, which we produce the pontoon to provide the floating base for solar farm that we cooperate with SCG, and also some reinvented toilet that we join with AIT and SCG. Also, we think this is also one of our business that we would like to expand as the OEM, which provide a co-development project with any person who interested. For example, we heard that AIT has many projects. If you would like to make it real or would like to make it or need some manufacturer to provide a manufacturing service, we are very ready to do that for you. And so as a SCG, which we are cooperating in many projects at the moment. So I think that's the main things that we would like to cover for today. And at the end of this today's presentation, we would like to introduce our sister company named Shanta. Shanta is actually, we provide the silver ion technology to kill the virus and bacteria. We use this AG ion or silver ion to put it, to mix it in the raw materials of many products like the water tanks, or many kitchenwares or sportwares, or even our clothes, that it will kill germs and virus and bacteria. Now we are launching the new products we call Antia 24 hours, which is the special kinds of alcohol which lasts 24 hours, which we will be launching this one in August this year, after we got the approval by FDA Thailand. And also for Antia, for the surface protection, we probably can be launched by January next year, after we got the approval from FDA and Thailand Industrial Standard. So I think that should cover everything that we would like to address for today. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you so much, Khun Thanawat. Great to hear from DOS's side, both about the water treatment and wastewater treatment work that you're doing, and technologies that you've developed, as well as the way that you're open to partnerships with others, using that example of the partnership that you have with SCG in manufacturing some of their products as an example, as well as some of the new products like your sister company that are being started now. So thank you very much. I'll ask everybody if they could give a virtual round of applause to all of our presenters and summarizers today. And I'm going to move us to a final summary right now, just for a short feedback on some of the things that we heard today before I turn it over to my colleague Evariste for his closing remarks and preview of what we have coming tomorrow. So with that, I will now just move to summarize some of the points. So today, as you heard, we had our virtual field visits, and we hope that you all enjoyed it after a long year and a half of having movement restrictions and not being able to go to the field. So I think the commonalities between what we just heard between all of these different visits. So I think the visits all gave us a better understanding of these challenges that are facing institutions and households and communities as they look for technical solutions that will support safe sanitation. And with that, I wanted to also just remind us some of the key facts that Kellyanne Naylor, our colleague in New York, presented during her keynote yesterday. So first of all, that there's 369 million people across the Asia Pacific region that still lacked basic sanitation facilities in 2017. And that in the region overall, Kelly mentioned that we're pretty much evenly split between sewer connections and those using on-site facilities. And we heard today really focusing on on-site facilities and some of the ways that those services are provided, the innovative technologies that can be used, as well as the way that those services are managed. And that's important because if we recall back to some of the facts that Kelly highlighted yesterday, that between 76 and 89% of countries where there's data, people are not emptying, those septic tanks have never been emptied. So, thinking about fecal sludge management and how to make sure that safe sanitation services are being provided, these are aspects that we need to be looking at. Some commonalities that we heard today were also about the way that social and institutional factors play a role in addressing and addressing the way that these innovations can be taken up. I wanted to give a couple of examples. So one that was already noted in the group that I was in today was about user behaviors. And this influences demand, and it also influences the way that systems are used. For example, a market assessment that my colleagues in Indonesia, some of who are on the line today, had carried out with partners last year, showed that many people didn't have very much knowledge about the way that the anything under the ground worked. So anything below the toilet or outside of the toilet, outside of that user interface worked. And this lack of visibility made issues like poor quality or leaking septic tanks a very low priority to address. So regulation has a role to play, as well as, in community engagement, demand creation for these sort of services. And we'll be hearing more about that tomorrow as we have a panel about reaching the last mile, and we'll have reflections from monitoring and regulatory agencies here in Thailand. So today, again, we heard about very interesting work of AIT together with Borda and their lab, which gives great feedback to researchers and product developers on specific technologies. And it also allows regulators to have better information and run certification programs, for instance, and to make good decisions. We also saw examples of new on-site sanitation systems that are safe and simple to use, and are or will be cost effective compared to certainly the externalities of poor sanitation on the health of communities and the health of ecosystems. We heard about that from SCG and from DOS. We also heard interesting insights into how these reinvented toilets are actually made in partnership between these agencies. And bringing all of this together with these social, institutional, and technological factors, we had a virtual field visit of the fecal sludge treatment plant at Nonthaburi Municipality, which is serving over 100,000 people, I believe we heard. And we also saw how support and encouragement from the highest levels in Thailand generated political will that enabled this sort of work to happen, and how the system is being managed and to produce reuse of fecal byproducts in the form of fertilizer that's being sold to farmers. So the final thing I wanted to highlight and pull together from all of these field visits is on partnerships. We heard about the transformative role of these partnerships, and indeed how only through partnerships we can make progress on this whole agenda of safely managed sanitation, and particularly on getting innovations and better technology, safer systems into the hands of people and into the hands of workers to keep them safe. So these partnerships included partnerships between business to business within the private sector. So for example, businesses that are doing, producing certain technologies with manufacturers, with distributors, businesses to customers, of course, as well as partnerships between local governments, with the private sector, with national governments, with regulatory agencies or standards agencies, and of course with academia, and last but not least, communities and user groups themselves. So all of this shows us, in summary, that while delivering safely managed sanitation services is complex, it is achievable, and it will take all of us working together. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to my colleague Evariste for his closing remarks, as well as summary of what's to come tomorrow. Over to you, Eva.
Yeah, no, thank you very much for the summary of the today discussion, which are totally rich. We have this virtual field visit today, but I don't feel that we were in a virtual mode, right? I feel that we are like in a real field visit. The same question we used to ask during a field visit are the same question we ask when we are online as well. How much this technology costs? Are we reaching the marginalized people? Where do we invest, next? What about this? What about that? I think, and then what do we need to do better, basically, or what is your innovation? So those are some of the questions you need to use during the field visit, and those same questions come again today. So I didn't feel that we, through the virtual mode, we were totally desperate, but I think we go in depth in a discussion with each of the partners and organization that was presenting during the field visit, and I'm quite happy that it went very well for two main reasons. One, the first one is the quality of the preparation that each of you have put in this. And then the energy to come with something that's quite relevant for all of us was quite good. And then the product at the end of the day sound very, very good. And thank also for all for your contribution. And then the second point is that we learn a lot. We learn things that 2 years ago was quite challenging when we have the first expo in China, but we also learn a lot that there's a new thing here that we can basically use in Thailand, through different means to make our product and service more sustainable and more, more future-proof, which is very important. So thank you very much for that, for the learning, and also for the quality of the product and the preparation that we have shared today. So, and I will not come back on the summary, but I just want to flag some of the points for tomorrow as we resume again at 2 p.m. To discuss for tomorrow. Tomorrow will be the last day of the 3 days event. And then tomorrow we will learn again from other countries, which is very important. What are the technology they are using, not in Thailand, but in another country. You have a very quick look at young people and sanitation economy. Basically, some of the programs that you'll be doing in this region and how we link with some different initiatives that are going on with AIT, those SEG, and so on. So we will have a discussion on that, and then a panel discussion will follow up, where we have many sector practitioners will be talking about different things, about regulation, about scale up, about innovation as well, and then we'll have the reflection of other countries who are present in the beginning through some question and answer. So. And we look forward to having you again tomorrow, starting 2 p.m. And then closing at 4:45 tomorrow. And thank you again for coming in today. And then I thank all the organizers, all those people behind the scene, clicking the Zoom and making sure that we have a good sound, and on making sure that we have a good interpretation. Thank you all for your contribution today. And so see you tomorrow, and then have a very great evening. Thank you. Bye-bye.